Kirk to Rayborn, report. I'm required to make a security confirmation. When I call my ship, if you list your personnel, cargo requirements, any special needs.
Star Trek is one of the most iconic science fiction franchises in history. From its very beginning, the series set out to explore strange new worlds, discover new life, and pose big ideas about humanity. The stories often went beyond mere space adventures, using the future and alien worlds as mirrors to reflect on contemporary issues like war, equality, and social justice. However, not every episode was accepted by audiences, broadcasters, or even governments. Some episodes pushed boundaries so far that they were banned, restricted, or pulled from airing altogether. These episodes often dealt with topics that were considered too controversial for television at the time. From the dangers of disease and mind control to groundbreaking social commentary, Star Trek did not shy away from exploring ideas that challenged viewers. Even decades later, these stories remain provocative and memorable. In this article, we will examine some of the Star Trek episodes that faced censorship or bans, and why they continue to be controversial today. One of the earliest Star Trek episodes to cause controversy was Miri from the original series. At first, the story seems like a simple mystery, but it quickly becomes unsettling. The crew of the Enterprise responds to a distress call from a planet that appears identical to Earth. When Captain Kirk, Spock, Dr. McCoy, and other crew members beam down, they discover a deserted town, frozen in time. The silence is soon broken by a horrific sight. A disfigured man attacks them before collapsing and dying. They then meet Miri, a young girl who refers to adults as grups. Miri explains that she and the other children are the only survivors of a deadly plague that wiped out all the adults. The disease, caused by a failed life extension experiment, left the children appearing normal but centuries old, creating a horrifying juxtaposition of innocence and longevity. As the story unfolds, fear and jealousy lead the children into violent behavior, putting the crew in danger. Dr. McCoy races to develop a cure while Kirk appeals to the children's sense of responsibility to save the youngest ones. Though the episode aired once in the UK in 1970, it caused complaints due to its disturbing content and was excluded from repeated broadcasts for years. The episode explored themes of death, disease, and human fragility in ways that many viewers were not prepared to handle, marking it as one of the earliest Star Trek stories to provoke significant controversy. Plato's Stepchildren is perhaps one of the most famous controversial episodes of Star Trek because it included the first scripted interracial kiss on American television. During the story, Captain Kirk and Lieutenant Uhura are forced, under mind control, to kiss. While NBC did not object to the scene, there were concerns about how audiences, particularly in the Deep South, would react. Surprisingly, American viewers largely accepted the moment, but overseas, the reaction was different. When the episode was later shown in the United Kingdom, the BBC chose not to air it, officially claiming that the story was too brutal. Many believe that the underlying concern was the social and racial implications of the kiss. While the episode featured groundbreaking social commentary, it also highlighted the tension between television networks, censorship boards, and public perception. By portraying an interracial kiss in a primetime science fiction show, Star Trek pushed cultural boundaries and challenged audiences to rethink societal norms. Despite initial resistance, this episode became a symbol of progress and a landmark in television history, demonstrating the franchise's willingness to address social issues in innovative ways. The episode Whom Gods Destroy presents one of the darkest tales in Star Trek history. The Enterprise crew visits a high-security psychiatric facility on the planet Elba II, which houses the Federation's most dangerous criminally insane individuals. The patients have taken control of the asylum, led by Garth of Azar, a former Starfleet captain turned unhinged villain. Garth believes he is destined to rule the galaxy and has gained the ability to shapeshift, making him unpredictable and dangerous. The crew faces not only physical danger but intense psychological manipulation, as Garth uses fear to assert control over the inmates. In one shocking scene, he murders another patient simply to prove his power. The episode's depiction of mental instability, cruelty, and violence was far more intense than typical Star Trek adventures of the era. The BBC later deemed it too disturbing for younger audiences, and it was withheld from broadcast. This episode demonstrated that Star Trek was willing to confront darker aspects of human and alien psychology while delivering compelling science fiction drama. To understand why certain episodes faced bans or censorship, it's important to look at Star Trek's broader impact. Created by Gene Roddenberry, the franchise began in 1966 with the original series, following the crew of the USS Enterprise on missions of peaceful exploration. The series stood out for its optimistic vision of the future, multiracial cast, and willingness to explore difficult social issues. Over time, the franchise expanded into multiple series, films, books, and games, influencing both pop culture and technology. Star Trek often reflected contemporary social issues through allegory, using alien worlds and futuristic settings to discuss race, gender, war, and morality. Roddenberry's vision was one of hope, cooperation, and humanity at its best, which sometimes clashed with network executives' concerns about ratings or audience sensitivity. The franchise's commitment to bold storytelling meant that episodes tackling controversial or disturbing themes were both a natural consequence and a reflection of its enduring mission to challenge viewers. The Empath is another Star Trek episode that faced censorship. Unlike others, its disturbing nature stemmed from emotional and psychological tension rather than graphic visuals. The Enterprise crew encounters alien beings who subject them to torturous experiments. The horror is conveyed through dialogue and reactions, forcing viewers to imagine the suffering in detail. Although American audiences praised the episode's depth and thoughtful exploration of empathy, the BBC considered the intense psychological themes too extreme and did not broadcast it for nearly 30 years. This episode underscores Star Trek's willingness to explore human suffering and moral dilemmas in ways that went beyond conventional science fiction. Star Trek: The Next Generation also faced controversy, particularly with Season 1's episode Conspiracy. The story features parasitic aliens controlling humans, resulting in gruesome visual effects, including a character's head exploding. The combination of horror and science fiction shocked audiences and prompted NBC to air the episode in a late-night slot, while the BBC refused to broadcast it entirely. This episode demonstrated the franchise's flexibility in exploring different tones, including horror, while challenging audience expectations of science fiction television. Rejoined, an episode from Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, addressed social boundaries differently. Featuring the franchise's first openly gay kiss, it faced resistance in some parts of the U.S., especially the conservative South, where distributors demanded cuts. The story follows Jadzia Dax and the widow of a previous host, exploring themes of love, loyalty, and societal taboo through the lens of Trill culture. Despite the edits, the episode received critical acclaim and is remembered as a milestone in LGBTQ+ representation on television, reflecting Star Trek's ongoing commitment to social commentary. Another Deep Space Nine episode, To the Death, pushed the limits of televised violence. The original fight scene between Starfleet personnel and the Jem'Hadar featured 52 deaths, but networks required edits, reducing visible deaths and shortening intense action sequences. The edits altered pacing and storytelling, resulting in some complaints from fans about choppy scenes. This episode highlights the challenges Star Trek faced in balancing mature storytelling with broadcast standards, demonstrating how censorship could affect narrative impact even as the series pushed boundaries in realism and intensity beyond controversial episodes. Star Trek has shaped culture, technology, and history. Its multiracial casts, groundbreaking social commentary, and optimistic vision influenced generations. Technologically, devices like tricorders inspired real-life innovations, while its depiction of diverse space crews influenced NASA recruitment and representation. The franchise continues to inspire scientists, engineers, and dreamers, proving that fiction can spark real-world change. Star Trek's willingness to explore taboo subjects, challenge social norms, and present complex moral dilemmas is part of why certain episodes faced bans or censorship. From the disturbing Miri to the socially groundbreaking Plato's Stepchildren and psychologically intense The Empath, the franchise has consistently pushed boundaries. Its bold storytelling, optimistic vision of the future, and influence on culture and technology show that Star Trek is more than a TV show, it is a movement. By daring to go where no one had gone before, Star Trek continues to inspire audiences while challenging them to think, question, and imagine a better future. Star Trek is more than just a TV show, it's a cultural phenomenon that has influenced generations of fans, scientists, and thinkers. From its debut in 1966 with the original series, Star Trek sought to explore not just new worlds and strange life forms, but the human condition itself. The stories often reflected the social and political issues of the time, cleverly disguised through science fiction allegory. Episodes tackled racism, war, environmental destruction, sexism, and even the dangers of authoritarianism. However, some stories were considered too bold, too dark, or too socially provocative, leading to bans, censorship, or restricted airings. Some networks, especially internationally, were cautious about showing content that could be seen as too disturbing or controversial. In this article, we'll examine some of these banned episodes, why they caused controversy, and how Star Trek's boldness shaped its cultural legacy. Miri is an episode from the original series that pushed boundaries in multiple ways. The story opens with the Enterprise receiving a distress call from a planet identical to Earth. Captain Kirk, Spock, and Dr. McCoy beam down, expecting a simple rescue mission, but the deserted town they discover immediately sets an eerie tone. The crew soon encounters Miri, a young girl who survives a deadly virus that killed all adults, leaving children who age extremely slowly. The juxtaposition of youthful innocence with violent, almost monstrous behavior was unsettling for many viewers. The episode explores themes of mortality, disease, and human instinct, showing children capable of cruelty when stripped of guidance. Dr. McCoy works feverishly to create a cure, while Kirk negotiates with Miri to gain the children's trust. When the episode aired in the UK in 1970, complaints about its disturbing themes led to it being excluded from rebroadcasts for years. Its dark subject matter,